Hey Threadheads, Darren here. Welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. Today we're going to be tying the 907 Egg Sucking Leech. This one comes from Alaska Fly Fishing Goods, and it's basically a variation of a woolly bugger or an egg sucking leech, like a beadhead woolly bugger, I guess, if you will. The defining characteristic on this is a dubbed body rather than a chenille or crystal chenille type body. And the benefit of that is you can use a dubbing, a brush to kind of pluck all that stuff out and give it a nice fuller body just underneath the hackle. And that'll give a little bit of a different action as it goes through the water. Make sure you leave a comment down below, and everybody who does leave a comment, I'll put you into the bucket for the next draw for flies and decals. Let's have a look at the material list and get started. Alright, let's get a fresh hook in the vise here. And I've already placed a 4.8 millimeter bead on this size 6 Mustad R75. If you don't have the R75, feel free to switch that out for any kind of 3XL to 5XL hook. We're going to take a little bit of lead-free wire here, and we're just going to wrap on some extra body weight. So I take about somewhere around 7 inches worth of wire for a fly size 6, and I believe this is a 4 or 5 extra long. So if you need to adjust for smaller sizes or larger sizes, go ahead. And we'll just use our scissors to kind of ply that wire around the front, push that right up under the bead to kind of secure that, and then on the tail end we'll just again use our scissors and just kind of flatten that out just a touch. For thread today, I'm going to be using a 70D UTC black. And for this fly, there's a number of different color variations you can use here. We're going to be tying the black one, but basically any colors you tie a standard egg sucking leech, like a purple or an olive or white, go ahead and modify this pattern into those colors as well. But we're going to be doing a black version here, and the orange bead up front provides a really nice contrast to the black. So we're going to take a little bit of marabou here, and one thing that I like to do, if you've been watching, is strip off the marabou fibers rather than tie them in and on the stem. So for that, I usually save the marabou with thick stems, and I'll rip that off, rip the or peel the fibers off the stem, and we'll just tie those in right where the lead ends, so we kind of maintain a nice even body thickness throughout. And for this one, I'm going to do another stack, and we'll just tie that in. So we've got 2 stacks of hackle. It's probably about 3/4 or a half of the feather's worth. And if it's too long, you can just simply pinch off the excess, and you get a nice full tail. We're going to add a little bit of flash here. So what I've done is I've taken 2 full strands of pearl Flashabou and folded it over and cut that in half. That'll give me 4 strands. And what I'll do is I'll just tie it in on the side here along the shank. Give it a couple wraps forward. I'll pull that extra bit over to the other side, and then I'll kind of pull it in place and tie it down. We can push everything to the back, and we'll trim it all at once. And then everything's nice and even. You know, a little bit of extra flash in there, not too much. We're going to add a little bit of wire in here that's going to act as our rib for the fly. I do believe the original was tied without the rib, but I like having the extra confidence in durability that the rib's going to give the fly. So we're going to go ahead and add that. You notice I folded back the end, and that just kind of helps keep it a little bit more secure as well. If you need to, you can add a little coat of glue in here to really fortify that fly. Next, we're going to take some chenille laser dub, and again, if you want, you can make your own dubbing that's similar to this. So we're just going to start by dubbing on some thin noodles. You don't want to get too thick right away. You're better off doing more wraps of thin noodles than large thick noodles. The thicker noodles, they'll tend to, the dubbing might come out a little more clumpier, and it's a little less easy to brush out under the hackle. So just do a couple inches at a time. So I'm doing probably 3 or 4 inches in a go, and we'll just kind of wind that until we get the body, the thickness that we're looking for. And I like to kind of eyeball it so that it's somewhat similar to the thickness, the diameter that the bead has as well. So now that we've got that dubbed, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple half hitches just in case we knock that over. And I'm going to select a decent looking saddle hackle. And this is just from a package of strung hackle. We're going to pull all the fibers back to where the webbiness stops, and then we're just going to clip that off. I'm going to tie that in right at the bead. You want the dull side kind of facing the body and the shiny side of the hackle facing out. We'll give that a couple wraps. Make sure you fold that stem back and wrap over top of that so that it's really secure in there. Clip off that excess. And then we're going to fold that saddle hackle backwards, and we're going to palmer that down to the bend of the hook where we have our flash tied in and our ribbing. I'm going to use a pair of hackle pliers here just to make that a little bit easier. You just want to make sure that you twist your hackle pliers as you go down so that the direction of the hackle is not going to change. So we just want to kind of get that right in the base there. That's a nice spot to stop off. Make sure that you get that flash on the right side of the wire. Now we're just going to start wiggling this wire forward. And we're just going to take about 5 or 6 wraps through, and we just wiggle it so that we don't trap down too many of the hackle fibers. We want them to stay out as much as possible. And then we'll give that a few wraps to secure it and kind of give it a bit of a tug so that it gets pulled under that wire. We'll fold that wire back and forth a couple times just to make sure that it gets stuck really well. Come back to the end, trim off that tip of the hackle. Now we'll go up to the front and we'll pull that wire with a bit of tension and helicopter it off. So now we can go ahead and we'll add a whip finish to the fly. We'll add a second one here just for a little bit of added security. And now we'll add a little bit of head cement just to secure those few thread wraps in behind. And just let that soak in under the bead, and that should be a pretty durable fly. Now the one last step that we're going to do for this fly is just to take a brush, something like a modified toothbrush that I use here, or one of the dubbing brushes that I've made with some Velcro and popsicle stick, or even something that you've bought from the fly shop will work fairly well. And the idea in here is just to kind of pull out a little bit of that laser dub and get a little bit of the sparkle sitting underneath the hackle fibers here so that you get a little bit of a fuller looking fly going through the water. So this is a better brush here than the toothbrush. So just kind of give it a wiggle back and forth and kind of pluck out a few of those fibers of laser dub and you should be good to go. Alright, there you go. There's my modified 907 leech, egg sucking leech. Hope you get to fish it. Enjoy it. Hey fly tiers, thanks for stopping by and checking out my fly tying videos. If you enjoyed the video and want to show your support, hit the thumbs up and share it to your social networks. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, be sure to hit the bell icon to get notifications on my latest fly patterns, tips, and reviews. If you have a question or comment, leave a message below. You'll also be entered into the next draw for some of the flies I tie and a few stickers. Until next time, this is Darren saying, keep a hook in your vise. Cheers.